Well, hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a rune and tarot divination for Monday, the 18th day of March, 2024. Well, I hope you've had a good weekend. We're getting ready to do our field burning today, so my husband was out mowing things around and the big pasture to make sure that he mowed it quite short. So we're going to be out there obviously, but this way it's not going to spread to the fences or to the trees or whatever. So anyhow, we're going to be doing some of that today, but I'm already the pollen that we have in the area is pretty high, and so I'm a little bit stuffy here. So excuse the coughing I might be doing, but and I've got my tea right here to sort of help ward some of that off. But anyhow. Let's take a look, though, at what's going on this week before we get started. We've got tomorrow, the sun enters Aries. We also have the spring equinox at either, depending on what you're looking at. My software says it's 8:06 p.m., but the calendar says 8:07 p.m., so whatever. It's close enough. Also, Ostara begins. And Ostara is a pagan holiday, one of the 8 main primary ones. But Ostara is about the return of spring and fertility and all of that, and the new growth that's coming around. And it's nice to always go out on Ostara and take a look at what's coming up on its own. You know, I've got some tulips that are coming up. My husband says that the daffodils, where he sent me a picture from where they were. He was out and about on the property, and he showed me them. I have a picture of them starting to emerge, and I think the flowers are getting ready to open up there. I would imagine up on the side of the pasture, on the driveway side, that they're probably up and starting to bloom there as well. But that's really all that happens right now where we are, because we're about 3,000 feet above sea level. But anyway, one way to celebrate Ostara, and this is what I do, is I take an egg from the chicken coop and I decorate it and I go bury it in the garden. And it's to promote fertility for the coming season. Ostara, again, it begins tomorrow night with the spring equinox, and at the time of that, and then it ends on Wednesday, the 20th. So you got a 24-hour period. But, celebrate it whenever you want to this week. If you want to wait till the weekend, you can do that too, if that works better for you. And then on the 22nd, Friday, Mars goes into Pisces. So that's the calendar stuff. Let's go ahead, and if this is your first time here, welcome. I hope you'll click subscribe and come back. What I do here is I take 2 runes. Again, I take one from the Elder Futhark for the higher self side, and then the Geomancy rune for the ego side. And it kind of gives us an idea of what the reading is going to be about. And then we'll draw 3 cards from the tarot deck and from the Rider-Waite, and we'll see. Oh, this is perfect for today. And we'll see what the details are of it. Here we have Birkenau. Very cool. Birkenau is the 18th rune of the Elder Futhark, again for the 18th day here of March. But it's about fertility. It's about it's an earth element rune. It's about birth and family and protection and new beginnings and healing, growth, bringing projects to fruition. It can mean a pregnancy. It can mean the birth of a child. It doesn't have to, though. Again, if you're working on something, a project or something at work or just in your own personal life, and maybe it's about to come to its conclusion. 18 reduces to 9. So 8 and 1 is 9. And so we're looking at a 9 numerology both for today and for Birkenau. So kind of a great rune to start us out with Ostara happening tomorrow. And the first day of spring with the spring equinox. Let's see what the lower side of things has to say. We'll put them again in the order of fire, air, water, and earth. Where's my fire? There's earth. There's fire. Oh, well, this is interesting. This is conjunctio. Conjunctio looks like a little hourglass. This is unity and joining. It's coming together with other people. Its complement is carcer, which would be a more isolationist type of a thing. This would be very, very positive. Carcer would be kind of negative. And in Geomancy, we're looking at 8 concepts or 16 runes, but you're going to look at 2 runes per concept. And so it's like you're looking at a continuum of experience here. And here, with Birkenau and the idea of healing and growth and family and all of that and fertility, it's coming together to manifest that in our lives here. And if we just want to say that manifesting in our lives for this week, especially given that Ostara starts tomorrow, that's kind of a interesting way to get going on the reading today, isn't it? Some synchronicity there, I think. Well, let's see. I need to light my candles. I didn't do that. Hang on a minute while I do that. Oops, I didn't light. We'll just do those two. It's like something doesn't seem right. I'm looking at what I'm doing here in the video screen. It's like I'm missing some light. Anyhow, let's go ahead and cut the deck, and we'll take the lower half, and we'll draw our cards from there. Well, we have one from the Major Arcana, one from the Suit of Swords, and one from the Suit of Wands. Let's see, how do I want to arrange these here? If we're talking about growth and family and fertility, and I mean, Birkenau is such a positive rune. Again, healing, new beginnings, with spring and all of that coming. The wheel is basically turning. The Wheel of Fortune, isn't it? And now we're going to move into a new phase, and then we have the 7 of Swords and the 9 of Wands. Let's do the numerology really quick, though, of the reading. So we had, with the 18th rune, we had a 9 numerology, we said. With the Wheel of Fortune, we have a 10. It's the 10th card of the Major Arcana. That reduces to 1, so we're going to add 1 to that. We add 7 for the 7 of Swords, and then we have 9. That's 26, so that's 8. Let me put that up here. 8 for the numerology. Let me do that one more time, just to be sure. So we had 18, which is 9. We have 10, which reduces to 1. 1, we have 7, and we have 9. Oh, I didn't clear. So do that again. 9, 1, 7, and 9. 26. Okay. I guess I didn't clear it before. Let me put this over here out of my way. So again, we have an 8 numerology for the whole reading. So we're talking about harmony, strength or inner strength, material recognition and approval, and leadership. So again, let's start out then with the Wheel of Fortune. We'll take a look at this. Now, Wheel of Fortune is about, again, fortune. It's about cycles and the turning of the wheel, movement, success, prosperity. So it could suggest as we begin anew here that this is a time of prosperity, a time where the wheel turns and we're moving into a more prosperous time for ourselves. And again, in terms of Birkenau, that could have to do with personal growth. It could have to do with the growth of your garden coming up. It could have to do with almost anything really growth related. But in terms of family and healing, maybe this is a time to heal issues between you and someone else, or it's a time to heal issues in the family if possible. I think that there's been a lot of division here, stoked by people with agendas that have essentially made having a family difficult, depending on the makeup or the belief structure of your family, the family unit. You could have people where I see online people remark that they don't have contact with their family anymore. And it has to do with the politics of the time, and that's sad. It's sad that sort of that the people pushing that, or the individual pushing that, is so afraid, I guess, of their own ideas, that they're not going to that they have to resort to authoritarian types of experiences here, and to make everybody fall in line, essentially. The problem is if you have people in a family where not everybody's going to go along with that, they're like, what? We're not doing that. Well, that creates tension, as we know. And I mean, maybe it's happening in your life, maybe you know of people it's happening to. So it's just a fact of life right now. Kind of is what it is. And with the idea of spring coming back, and fertility and growth and healing and new beginnings, you can harness that energy and let the wheel turn in your favor, basically. And in the favor of higher purpose, and the love of family, and the love of friendships, and all of that, and the unity, the conjunctio that we have with one another, the fundamental unity, especially in terms of higher awareness. The souls, they're part of the collective consciousness, part of the creator. So we're all one, right? But we come into form, see, and we forget that, and ego takes over, and we all know what happens then, right? So we move on then to the seven. Seven's about balance. It's also about observation, about truth, about legal matters, integrity, but letting things settle out. If you look at the seven numerologically as the scales, you look at that, you see the, I have a thing right here that I've drawn this out before. You see seven, you have 3 dots here, 3 dots there. I know that looks funny. And then 1 there, that's 7. And if you portion them out this way, it reminds you of the scales. Well, the idea then in terms of observation is letting things settle out and observe the situation before you act, essentially. But in the case of the 7 of swords, now initially, I always, because I'm an author and I write a blog and all of that, and I've written some books, I think of this, the first time I ever saw this card is theft of intellectual property, because swords is about the intellect, it's about interactions, communication, and writing is part of that, right? But what we have here, I think in reality, you see in the background, you see the king's men, the soldiers here, and you see the tents, and then you see this dual line. Anytime you see a dual line in the Rider-Waite Tarot, you're going to see something happening over on one side of it and something happening over on the other side of it. And so this is about getting away from whatever's happening in the background there and leveling the playing field. If you look at the swords in terms of battle plans, they're not really they're left outside here for everybody to see or to take, right? And this guy could be somebody from the town or the village or the little area where the kings and his men are there to plunder and take over and all of that. And so this guy maybe comes in and he helps out, maybe serves or whatever, but he's actually a spy from the town. That's how I see this. And what he's doing is he's taking the battle plans, taking them back to his village or whatever it is, and essentially helping to level the playing field, because the might of the soldiers is too great to just, deal with it on its own, on its face as it comes at them. They need to know what's coming. And so if you look at this in terms of leveling the playing field, then whatever, has been a problem in the past gets revealed this way. In other words, you're taking it back and they're revealing the plans of the king and his men. And so there's a sense of revelation here. So after observing what's going on, he sees an opening and he tries to take what he can to level all of that, to gain some advantage, right? In terms of making plans of how to deal with this, the king and his men trying to come and harm the village, essentially, and take over. in a sense, what you could do if you're looking at this in terms of healing and coming back together with people that maybe you've been struggling with for a while now, again, as new beginnings happen with the turn of the wheel, it promises some positive outcome that way. This might be the time to try it again and see. And take from the knowledge that you have of the situation and try to find some way to bring back the love into the situation. Maybe begin there. Remind everybody, we're family and we love each other in spite of whatever arguments we're having about this or that. Or you might see things differently than I do. But at the heart of it, though, we're family or we're friends, and I'd like to find a way to strengthen that again, So in the sense of the Seven of Swords, then you're taking what you already know to be true about the situation and trying to work from there, and to rise above it all, and to remember that we can disagree all we want to, but you're still my sister, you're still my brother, you're my cousin, you're my aunt, you're my grandfather, whatever it is. And I love you, and I want to be in your life. I want us to be able to come together. We're just going to have to leave this other stuff on the peripheral here, and check it at the door, basically, and come in and be together and in love and harmony, and let's catch up on what people are doing. You see what I'm saying? You shift the conversation to something else that's not so loaded or explosive, as the political stuff in the country can be. And then from there, you come to some kind of uneasy, maybe easy or uneasy truce, maybe. You've got the support behind you, but you've been through it. You see he's got the bandage on here in the Nine of Wands. The will was exercised. And at the end of the day, again, we have the same dual line here where he's out here and everything that happened is behind him. He sees the support that he has, and everything's come to an end, but it may not, in a sense, it may also be the beginning of something, so whatever the drama has been, we're all together, really. We're all, we're a family. We're this group of friends. We're whatever this is, right? The people that are important to you, and you want to come back together in a way that's healing and heals the issue, but that may be the beginning of something new to happen. It's not that we're going to heal it today. It's that we end the conflict today. You see? Because again, 9 is about endings and completion. It's also about spirituality and generosity. But mainly it's about, in terms of the tarot here, it's also about endings and completion. And so maybe the situation can find its end and you can re-begin everything, right? Restart everything in a way that you have some boundaries established, maybe. It's like, obviously we get together, we talk about this stuff, things don't turn out so well. Well, I'm not happy about that. I want to just be able to come and visit and catch up and have a meal or just sit around and, just gab about nothing, essentially. Just nothing and everything, right? Except the stuff that produces the drama. That we just are going to have to agree to disagree, and we're going to leave that over there, and let's just come together and remember that we're family, right? And so, maybe we need to move these cards around here to tell a different story here, or tell a better story. But in understanding the situation, what it's truly about, and leveling the playing field, it might involve setting boundaries between you and your family. And then when you do that, then you can come to some kind of ending about things. Once you can at least establish that, then it puts an end to the drama. And even though, you're battle weary, because we all are, right? Because wouldn't it just be nice to be able to go over and see somebody, a family member or a close friend, and leave all that nonsense aside and just remember that, hey, we were best friends once, or, I was your favorite niece, or I'm your favorite daughter, or whatever. And let's just catch up. and just I want to know how you're doing. I want to know what you're working on here at the house. I see you put in some plants. Can we go look at them? I want to see them. I want to see what you did. I'm wanting to do some things too. I need some ideas, you know. I need some advice, whatever it is. But it comes to an end. The conflict comes to an end because you've all agreed to do that for the sake of the family or for the sake of the friendship. The conflict has to end because that stuff is volatile, especially these days. And it's not helping anything. We have to remember why we love one another. And Birkenau, you know, even if as you're doing this, you're chanting Birkenau silently to yourself, it's very calming. It has a very calming effect to do that, to chant Birkenau, to chant any of the runes. Invokes their presence, invokes their energy. So remember that with Birkenau. Whenever you're feeling stressed, whenever things are upsetting, visualize and chant Birkenau softly to yourself. Again, it looks like the letter B. But it's a bind rune, actually. It's got a lot of energy to it. It's got Isa, the Norn rune for the static realm. It's got Kenaz, turned inward twice and expressed outward once. It's got Laguz, which is flow. Kenaz, of course, is the torch and the light of spirit. You can see Rado in it. Rado is rider and horse. It's the process over the goal. It's the rhythm. It's the interaction. It's the integration you have with, that a rider has with its horse. But extrapolated out into our personal lives, it's that integrated experience you have with family and friends, people that know you and who you know, right? It's that integration. It's that conjunctio that you have coming together. And I think that when you level the playing field and you understand what's at stake here and what you need to do, then you can bring an end to the conflict. And even though there might be an uneasy truce, because after all, it was pretty dramatic, it was, pretty iffy, it's whether it's surrounding the political situation or COVID or whatever it is that causes the problems between you, the different perspectives coming together that are not in alignment. Everybody just needs to accept one another for who they are and leave the drama outside the door. Check it at the door. And you have your truce. And again, you see that realistically the support is there for you. It's there for everyone if you let it be so. And again, it takes setting boundaries. This is not going to be discussed. When we come together, this is our focus. And it's not necessarily going to work out the first time. It might, but it could be a process that you're going to go through here for a while to maintain the truce, essentially. But at some point here, whatever has happened to the people in this country and the people within families has got to stop. It wasn't put there by any of us. It was put there by an external force that wants control. And how does that person want to do it? He wants to divide and conquer. We can't let that happen. Our family is too important. The friendships we've established over time are too important. Right? And that's what this is saying. And in this time of the spring equinox and Ostara and the coming of spring and all of that, all of the new beginnings, letting go of the darkness, moving into the light of higher awareness, to remember why we're here in the first place, to awaken to that truth of who we are, not only as souls, but who we are to one another. As simply the self and the other side of self. Who are we really battling here? Right? It's a fallacy. It's an illusion that none of us needs. And so I think this is a lovely reading. It's very positive. It portends success once you understand the situation, level the playing field, set the boundaries, then the truce happens. And the exercise of will turns into something more manageable because the boundaries are there, right? And then as the wheel turns, essentially, and we move into another type of a mindset, an agreed upon, shared mindset of what this is all going to look like, in our families when we come together, with our friends when we come together. What is this all going to look like? And coming from the place of understanding and respect and love and protection of all that we've built, that somebody or a group of somebodies has decided, oh, no, we're not going to let you be happy, right? We're not going to let you love one another. We're going to turn you against one another. We have the opportunity now for that to stop. And yes, in terms of the 8 numerology for the whole reading, we're looking at inner strength, aren't we? It's going to take a lot of that to make this happen. Or maybe everybody is just personally tired of it all and they're ready to lay down the arms, basically, and to stop with all of the drama. Maybe they're all tired of it too. Maybe they just can't really admit it to themselves. And then somebody breaks the ice and says, well, I'm so glad you said that because I really miss you. It could be something like that. And with the promise of spring, the promise of fertility, the promise of healing and growth with Birkenau, it all just sort of dovetails together, to find that greater harmony again. And again, it doesn't mean we have to agree on everything. We aren't going to. It's just not going to happen. So let's just accept that and let's move on in a way that's loving and healing and actually helps us grow together again. So, nice way to start the week, especially this week. So, anyhow, I guess that's it. Again, I'm going to do a very limited write-up on this today on the blog. I post this stuff also over on Substack, Medium, and Patreon. So if you follow me over there, thank you. And but it's going to be very limited because we've done most of the getting ready of it, and we have to let the grass dry out a little bit more. It's a little bit too early yet to go out there, but we've got to get that field burned so that we have good growth here in the coming season. So we get all the dead stuff out of there and everything comes back with a vigorous type of a growth instead of trying to struggle coming through the dead stuff from the winter. So anyhow, that's what we're going to be doing here today and taking care of all that. And so I hope you guys have a good day. And again, check out the stuff over on the blog. The forecast is out. The correspondences for Work and Magic are out. The astrological overview is, and one of the last in the series of the Exploring Tarot cards that I do one a week, and I'm almost done with that. So because it either started last year or it started, I think it started at the beginning of last year or something. So I've gone through every single one every week, and I'm almost done with that. So we'll shift to something else. Maybe I'll do something herbal. But all of that's there if you want to go check out the blog. It's called Stepping Aside. The address there is imsteppingaside.com. If you forget, click on more below the video and a little window opens up and it's right there. So amongst other stuff. So you can look at it if you want to. But I'd love you to go check out the blog and see what I put in over there. And I guess that's it. I guess we'll talk again on Thursday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.